Good morning, everybody. I show 9 o'clock, and we're going to respect everybody's time and start on time. We have a lot to cover, honestly, and in the world of that we're all living in right now, it's changing by the minute. But we're going to get you some information that'll be helpful for you to start the school year. I'll trade the microphone off occasionally for people in the building that need to talk about their corner of expertise, and we'll try to get your child prepared to start the school year. I'm going to have some opening remarks here to start, and I've noticed that this stand over time likes to fall down, so if it's a comedy act, I'll just run with it. I give a similar statement when we have scheduling meetings in the spring, and I'd like to emphasize one point for everyone. Most of the families in here are families of freshmen. There are some other new students that are new to Greensburg schools, but as freshmen, each one of the students in here have an opportunity to write the story that they want here at the high school. We're all dealing with COVID and all the changes that come with that, but if you just look at a high school experience, right now is a fresh start. If you've had a poor experience in school, if you've had a great experience in school, right now you're kind of hitting the reboot button when you enter the high school doors. And really where that gets documented is in a transcript. We have semester grades, and those grades are put in a permanent record with your child's name on it. And then we track that, of course, until we get to a diploma. And we have conversations with kids all the time that they don't realize that, yes, you have to have 43 credits to graduate, and you have to have the right mix of credits. And we have a kid or two that gets lost in the shuffle and doesn't realize, oh, I have to pass health. Yes, you have to pass health. You just don't get moved on. But I use that example to illustrate to all of you, all these students that are in here and parents, right now is an opportunity to write the chapter, the story, the way that you want it written. If you want to come in and grab these opportunities and take advantage of them, it's right out there in front of you. There are moments in life where you have that, and this is one of those times. Just grab it. It's right there. So if you've been, as a student, if you've been thinking, I probably could have studied in science a little bit harder, now's the time. Now's the time. Why wait? Why wait another day? Take advantage of that right now, and we'll surround you with a bunch of resources and people that care about kids, care about human beings, and also try to teach you some standards along the way. We're an early college high school. We offer dual credit. We offer rigorous academic opportunities through all of our different electives and course content areas. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm very proud to say that I'm a principal of a school that offers that. And there's other people that contribute to that, and you'll hear from them in a minute. But so many opportunities, and all that has to happen is that your child has to take advantage of them. Will there be bumps in the road? Yeah, there'll be bumps in the road. We're all dealing with COVID. That's a major bump, obviously. But we're going to do the best we can, look at a situation, and move on and move forward in a positive way. So I just encourage you, as I close in my opening remarks, each student, take advantage of what the high school has to offer and do your absolute best, because then you can write that story in a positive way and let it catapult you to the next chapter of your life. Just graduated the class of 2020, and one of the speeches of the valedictorians talked about entering the kindergarten classroom, and the teacher said, "Welcome, class of 2020." And they couldn't imagine and get that in their head that, yeah, they will graduate high school one day. And here all of you are, getting ready to be freshmen in high school and be graduates very soon in 4 years. So looking forward to working with you on that. Moving on into the presentation, the teaching and learning environment. We want to maintain an organized environment so that way teaching and learning can happen. Sometimes that means we have to get in people's way. We try to do that in a healthy way. We try to do that in cooperation with parents. We also try to, with high school kids, it's a little bit different than an elementary setting or younger setting. We try to have rational conversation with kids and empower them with making good choices. And we go through a lot of layers to make that happen. But most importantly, we want to be sure that we are maintaining an environment here that teaching and learning can thrive. and we try to do that in the classroom at all times. We're also managing, and I'll talk about this later in the presentation, we're managing, social distancing, managing keeping everyone safe and healthy. I can talk about things in the building that we're doing with that. And also masks. Obviously, the governor came out yesterday, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. But the teaching and learning environment is paramount for us, and we will do things to maintain that in the building. Lastly, this is a rule. When I was in the classroom still, this is basically the one rule I used. And if you have respect, and you have respect for yourself, your peers, and all the adults, the experience here at GCHS is going to be fantastic. Doesn't mean you're always going to agree with everything that's said by another person, or even an adult for that matter, and that's okay. But if you learn to show respect, it's going to be given, and it's going to be earned, and it's going to flow throughout everywhere you go. So I'll just leave it there. Respect yourself. Put a good image of yourself out there, okay? Be responsible. There is a time to have some fun, but there's also a time that you need to get serious with some academics. Make sure you're aware of what you're projecting to others. Also with your peers, we need to be nice to each other. Students need to be kind to one another. It's a constant struggle, and there's a lot going on with social issues. There's a lot going on with love, and there's a lot going on with hate in the world. And we want to be a force for positive, and we want to be kind to one another. And then last but not least, the adults. I'll use this example with respect for adults. There's 1,000 different opinions about cell phones in school. There's 1,000 different opinions. It's impossible. But the one thing I can guarantee, if an adult asks a child to put a cell phone away, that child needs to be compliant. Now, there's a bunch of different interpretations with that. We can get in the weeds about the individual circumstance, but when it comes down to it, if an adult politely asks a child to put a cell phone away, we expect the student to be compliant. And we will enforce that and be fair with people and talk with them on that. So that's just one example. But showing respect to adults, being kind to one another, and then also respecting yourself. If we have that kind of flow in the building, that your high school or your child's high school experience is going to be wonderful. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to park it there for now, and I'm going to move on to our counseling department, okay? And I will let them introduce themselves. That's probably easiest, or Miss Offenberg can introduce them all. Is the whole team coming up? Yeah, it's more than okay.
They don't have to talk. They're not going to talk.
That's okay.
They're all worried about having to talk.
Oh, well, then make them talk. No. Before I turn the microphone over, I think most of you recognize Miss Sue Offenberg. I would like to just say a couple words here. I've worked closely with this lady for 7 years now. Has it been 7?
I've been here longer than you.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so you want to judge it on yours.
Yeah, so I'll go 7 years. And from a counseling team perspective, there is no stone that is unturned when we're looking at options for kids. I am honored to work with this group. I'm honored to work with Sue. You're in very good hands with your child as we work through scheduling issues, and also, I mentioned 43 credits. There is a particular path to graduation, and there's opportunities for dual credit and opportunities that lay a foundation for things after high school. And these counselors and this counseling team and everyone in our department, they are experts in that regard. So very honored to let Sue take the microphone and introduce her team.
Thanks. Good morning. It's an honor to be here, the class of 2024. Yes. Yes. Woo! Yeah, all right. Yes, the class of 2024. And we are here to make everything as possible and to move as slowly. And because I've got some parents that are probably a little teary-eyed because they're I just remembered it yesterday when my child in their mind went to kindergarten, and now we're talking about high school. So it will not move super slow, but we will move at a pace that we need to move, and it will go by very quickly. But we are here to serve you along the way, and I want to introduce some folks. Mrs. Soldier is on the end, and she is the person behind the scenes in our department that takes care of teacher grades as they come in, and report cards and honor roll and reports for us and mailing, and the list goes on and on. But she's out in the hallway at times, and she's in the mix, but students sometimes are not aware of who is that lady and what does she do, okay? Because we kind of hide her because she's busy. That is true. She becomes very important because you've got to have that parking permit. Okay. Next is Mrs. Hirschauer. She's the front runner in the counseling office, and she will be the first line of assistance when you as a student come in. She can answer a lot of questions, just general questions. If there is something that is very specific, then she will get you as a child to the proper counselor. Next, we have Miss Rodman. If you registered last year at the junior high in February with Miss Brand got married and her husband snatched her and she moved and could not make the transition back, so she left us, and we are happy to have Miss Rodman. So she is our new counselor on board. Okay. And next is Mrs. Hurd. She's been around for just a few years. And you have met her in February if she was your counselor. The key factor is, as a student, you need to know who your counselor is. Your counselor, yes, there may be times we get in your way, but for the most part, your counselor is your best friend, okay, is your advocate. And we are here to help you socially, emotionally, if there is some type of physical, if there is something that's going on academically, if there is something mentally that you need assistance, we're here for any of those aspects. But we're not mind readers. So unless you communicate, we cannot read minds. And if you don't feel that you know us well enough, then communicate to your parent or your aunt or whoever or your best friend, and they can advocate and come on your behalf. But we are here definitely to help you, and you need to remember that. Everyone received a schedule. Your schedule, if you have it with you, was divided up that you have first semester, blue days, periods 1, 3, 5, 7, and white days, periods 2, 4, 6, 8. It tells you what teacher you have. It also tells you where that classroom is. That's where you're expected to be. If you think there is something wrong with your schedule, you need to see us today. As we have told you back in February, sign up for what you need and what you want. And once you have those, and every freshman got what they needed and wanted, those are your courses. So if we run into some academic challenge that we don't know how to get over, around, through, then come see us, and we will help you with that. We will find that resource person or a resource out there, whatever it may be, to help you get through. But we're not going to throw up our hands, the first week and go, well, this is too difficult. We haven't even given it a chance yet. So think about those things. Remember, every course is a credit every semester. So at the end of this school year, we should have earned 14 credits. That is our goal. And we want to make those the best 14 of all possible. We have 180 days in this school year. 4 times 180 is 720 days. You are in high school 720 days. As Mr. Peters alluded to, what story you create is what is going to carry through down the road. So when an employer at graduation time asks us about attendance, your attendance record could set the priority whether we land that job or not. Okay? Those courses that you take set that criteria if we're going to go on to further education. We want you to be challenged. We push our students. But we don't want you to be so overwhelmed that you do throw up your hands. That's when you got to come to us. If you feel any of those feelings, come see us. We will do everything we can to help you. Okay? Last thing is this. Remember, you may have a bad day. It doesn't mean that life is bad. It's just a bad day. When you're having a bad day, there is someone else in this building, in this state, in this world that is having the best day of their life. We don't want to rob them of that and hope this day gets over. We don't want to be selfish. We learn from the bad days or the not so good days. Life is good, and we're here to work together to make things better. That's our goal. Okay? Do we have any new freshman or any new student that has not been assigned a schedule? If we do, we want to kidnap you now and get that schedule for you so that you're ready to go. Okay? When you walk around, you be sure that you know where the counseling office is. It's straight up the ramp, and when you get to the top of the ramp, it's the door directly to the right. That's where all the good stuff happens. Okay? We have the best jobs. Counselors have the best jobs in the world because our goal is to help people. That's what we do. Our office hours are 7 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. From a parent standpoint, if that doesn't work for you, we have been known to have meetings in the morning before you go to work if it's important, which it is for you to come in, or in the evening. So we have some flexibility with that. But please communicate with us, and we are, it's not parents, it's not students, it's not administrators, it's not counselors, it's everybody together. And we all have to make sure that it works because there's no one more important than your child and the class of 2024. Thanks.
Just to piggyback off what Ms. Offenberg just said, if there are prospective students in here that don't have a schedule, make sure you see them right away to get that set up. Also, if you have not registered at all, please stop by the main office and make sure we get you properly registered. If you have any questions about that, feel free to stop by and ask questions. We started off with the counseling department, and the next part here, and we have some parents as well that are staff members. I'd like to just point out all the staff members here. So I have Keith Hipskind down here in the front with me, who is our Dean of Students. I have Mrs. Sonia Kolkmeyer, who is our Assistant Principal. I have David Jackson, who teaches Advanced P. Sorry, Dave, I know you. Thanks, Dave. I think Heather Cummer is here. Hi, Heather. Thank you, Mrs. Cummer. Teaches Family and Consumer Science for us. Mrs. Tammy Williams, our Curriculum Director. Is there any other staff members here? Mrs. Clifford? There's Mrs. Clifford in the back. She works in our main office. Elementary teacher. Anybody else? Any other staff members here? Just kind of show you and also demonstrate things aren't perfect, but we also try to create a family atmosphere here. We try to put the needs of the kids first when we make decisions. And I think as being the parent of 5 kids, also being in the trenches with all this stuff this past spring, and as we work through things together and work with our counseling department, I want everyone to have a feel that we're going to look at the overall needs of your child and try to do our best. So take comfort in that. We'll try to do our best as we move forward. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring Mrs. Kolkmeyer up to the stage now. She's going to talk about these items they just happen to be organized on our website under the For Students tab. She's going to touch on these very quickly.
Good morning. It's so good to see your faces, and welcome to Greensburg High School. We try to have information out to you at your fingertips, and it is readily accessible right now on our website. I usually give a spiel about getting involved. Find something you're passionate about and pour into it, whether that's the fine arts, athletics, or we have a whole bunch of different clubs and organizations to pour into. I know Mr. Novak is here with Junior Optimist today, but all of this is located on our website, accessible either on a phone or a computer, whatever you have, and we have there the 2021 extracurricular activities. I encourage you to check it out. Find something you're interested in. We also have the teacher name or the adult sponsor of that club or activity, and then you can go to them and ask them about it. If you're a little nervous, find someone. Find the counseling department, find us, and we'll help you get connected with that club or activity. If you go, check it out, don't like it, don't go back. Try something different. I know we had a senior graduate 2 years ago. He tried out for swimming for the first time as a senior. His biggest regret in high school was not trying that sooner. So I encourage you, you're in a new building, try something new, okay? I'm going to kick it back to our website. You'll also find a link there to Skyward. I cannot push this enough. Please get connected with Skyward, whether on whatever device. Parents, get connected. You can see grades, attendance. You can also see discipline, things of that matter. And then reach out to us with any questions or concerns that you have. You'll also find our student handbook that is updated there for this school year. You can find all of our policies and some good bathroom reading material. That was supposed to be a joke. Need to work on those. We also have our blue-white schedule. We're on a block, so 1357 and then 2468. You can see those things there. There's lots of other resources for students and for parents there on our website. Again, I encourage you to get involved here at the high school. You may meet some incredible people that you normally wouldn't by getting involved, okay? Welcome, and look forward to working with you and seeing your smiling faces maybe behind the masks next week or 2 weeks.
Thank you. Quickly, I'd like to go over some notes from our front office ladies. Mrs. Julie Mintz is technically my secretary, and then Mrs. Ashley Clifford is our attendance secretary and the keeper of all things great. She just takes care of everything. Couple notes here. If you are late or need to leave and return during the school day, you need to sign in and out of the main office. That is so important. Students as they get older are getting more liberties, and we try to give students opportunity to have those liberties until they prove that they need to be taken away. And one of the responsibilities that students need to have is signing in and out. Okay, that's how we track where kids are. That's how we have accountability when parents call in where they've gone. And the student at this age needs to start taking accountability for that. Are we going to work with parents? Absolutely. But we try to encourage that the student take it upon him or herself to sign in and out of our system that's in our front office. When students need to leave, please call us in advance and we will provide an early dismissal pass. It'll make the flow a lot better if you call in ahead. Probably the worst case scenario is showing up at our door at 1:25 and your dentist appointment is at 1:30 on the other side of town, and your child's in PE class in our field house. It's just not a good recipe for success. So if you call ahead, let us know. We'll write that pass. We'll have it all organized and arranged beforehand. Yes, parents, as I said, need to call ahead for appointments and absences, and there's a voicemail attendance line that is open 24 hours a day. So like if it's in the middle of the night and you've had a rough night and you know your kid's not going to make it, you can call at that time and say, Billy's not going to make it. He's been up all night. That is totally acceptable. If a student needs to make a phone call during the day, that student needs to come down to the office. We have a landline available, or we can give them a safe place for them to make a call using their own cell phone. That's no problem. We discourage a student taking the liberty to make those calls on their own in the building. So if I'm walking the hallway and I see that, I'm gonna interrupt that student. They need to take care of that business in our front office. And last but not least, bus riders. just curious, who in here thinks they're going to be a bus rider? And students, you can raise your hand. And this isn't make or break. Do you think you're going to be a bus rider? Okay. I want to emphasize that the buses are going to be called, and there's a rotation of how they come. And after the first few days, you're going to know that my bus comes around 3:07, 3:10, 3:12. You're getting old enough that you can hear the numbers and be responsible for getting on your own bus. Because when you don't make your bus, what happens is front office staff member has to call. We call your parents. Your parents get upset. They have to come get you. And then it puts everyone in a bind just because the student didn't make the bus like they're supposed to. Okay? So I think students of this age are very capable of being accountable for that, and we can make accommodations to make it better for you. So just want to get that out there. Those buses are announced regularly. Before I get into this slide, I'm going to bring up Mr. Hipskind. Are you prepared, Mr. Hipskind? Okay, all right. Yeah, you stayed up all night. Okay, all right. So Mr. Hipskind's our Dean of Students. He's also transitioning out as our safety representative of the building. Him and Mrs. Kolkmeyer work together on that. So there's a couple issues he's going to touch on. And then I'm going to close my message with this information here. And then we'll release you guys into the building.
Well, good morning. Glad to have all of you here starting out your high school career and looking forward to getting to know you and meet you. And I hope that your start gets off to a wonderful experience here. I'm the Dean of Students, and I'm that guy who has to get in somebody's way once in a while. You know, for all of you that are thinking about getting married someday, you know, your wife is that person for most of your life. She's kind of has to remind you how to do and don't do, and I'm sort of that guy here in the building. So when you come into high school, Mr. Peters talked about respect and kindness, and you don't have to share every thought that you have on social media, because that spills into the building. You don't have to share every thought that you have about somebody walking down the hallway. If someone gets a little sideways, and that will happen from time to time, and you need a little redirection, it usually starts pretty quietly with a conversation. Maybe at some point a warning. At some point then it turns into some light penalties or severe penalties. We do expel students from time to time that just can't seem to fit in. They come in as a Tasmanian devil, spinning down the halls, knocking over lamps and tables and stuff, and they just can't seem to get things collected. We also arrest students from time to time. And so it's not a real pleasant spot to get into. So if you come in here and you treat people with dignity and respect and kindness, and you establish yourself as someone that will listen and take direction, you're going to get along just great here. I think that the cell phone thing, as Mr. Peters alluded to, has become crazy, to be honest with you. All the things that go on, we do have a no choice. If people can't seem to get where they're supposed to go, if they can't follow the direction of the teacher about putting a phone away, we'll just take your phone for a semester or 9 weeks, and you will not have that in the building. And if you can't comply, then you may not be part of this building at some point. And we don't like to go there, but we do go there if we need to. Things are going to change, and Mr. Peters is going to talk about the COVID-19 changes that we have, whether it's extra people in the bathroom, you know, guys all standing around sharing stories, or girls putting their makeup on with 39 people in the bathrooms. That's just not going to be something that's going to fly. This year's going to be different. This is your first year here at the high school, so maybe you won't have a different experience than the older kids, but it's important to know that there will be a lot of changes coming. I get a kick out of the fact that over the last 4 or 5 months, they talk about the same remedies for COVID-19 of, social distancing or just staying home or washing your hands or wearing a mask, and they can talk about that for 5 months. I don't know how we can talk about that over and over and over and over again, 24 hours a day. So we will have some guidelines in place for you, and I will be someone that will be asked to enforce a policy once in a while regarding some of those things. I'm really not against you as a student when you have a disciplinary problem. I want you to know that. I'm on the side of families. I'm here to be an extended parent. I've got 10 grandkids, so I'm extended grandparent as well. And I think it's good to know that when you come to the office that we do want to get along. I want to build a relationship with you. A couple of things before I get off the stage here. Entering and exiting the building. That's going to be important for day one. Day one, when you arrive to the building, you will have about 4 different locations that you can go to. You will come as a bus rider. You will come into the main doors here and be dropped off in front of the main office. You will be walking down towards the bookstore, down the hallway past the counseling office there, and you will go. You can stop there. That's one of the sites that you can sit at in the morning. You can also go down to what Mrs. Kochmeyer has named Pirate Cove, which is just outside the cafeteria. You can stop there and sit out there outside the cafeteria. You can go into the cafeteria, and you can also sit in the northwest lobby. So we're going to spread that out so that we don't have a big cluster of students with the social distancing requirements. If you are a car rider and your parents are going to drop you off, it's important to drop off in the west lot. West lot only for drop off and pick up. I know there's parents who get in a hurry. It's raining outside. You want to pick your child up quickly. You sprint to the front door to get them. I know that those things happen. We've had a few kids over my tenure here that have been bumped by cars. I know that sounds crazy. Mom's got 2 little babies in the car or whatever it is. There's distractions going on. She's hopefully not texting. And stuff happens out in the parking lot. So car riders, drop off and pick up in the west lot only, right outside the gym doors here, or this auditorium door here. Your student after school can come out the west doors through the band hall, and you're actually just as close to picking them up as you would be out front. There's a little traffic after school, I realize that, but please honor that and respect that. We ask the students to be obedient with that. We're asking the parents to also be compliant with that. When you drive, any drivers here as freshmen, not very often, you don't have to raise your hand, but if you're driving to school, you have to have a driver's permit. If you're riding a moped, if you're riding skateboards and roller skates and all those things are really not allowed on school property. When we have those backflips going off on these front steps out here, we've had some injuries with kids trying to, get on their mountain bike and do backflips off of those steps and things. So if you're riding a bike or a moped, it gets parked in the back, in between the field house and the high school. There is a place to park your bike or your moped. We have some extra chains if you need to lock something up with that. Doors open at 7:10. I know over my 42 years of being around education, you have kids that get dropped off at 6 o'clock in the morning sometimes, sometimes every day. Doors open at 7:10. Breakfast is served every day. Lunch is served every day. But the doors will not open until 10 after 7. The registration piece that Mr. Peters mentioned, some of you may have thought you registered, so just double check with that. We've got about 100 students or so that have not registered, and some of those I know maybe just didn't push the right button or whatever on the computer. So you might want to double check to make sure that you've been registered accurately. You may get a call on that or a notice from us about that. Anything else, sir? Have a wonderful year this year. I look forward to getting to know a lot of you right out of the box here.
All right, as I close here, normally in normal freshman orientation, I'd be giving you an oorah speech about class of 2024 and go get the world and all that fun stuff. But I have to have a little commentary here about COVID. It's actually the presentation I'm getting ready to talk about here has changed a little bit since the governor came out yesterday. So I'm going to be honest with you about what I can. I'm going to go over the adjustments that we're making here at the high school. And then if you have concerns specifically, don't be afraid to approach me about those and talk to me individually. So I'm going to go over the adjustments that we have here at the high school. First off, the GCS roadmap is we actually edited it yesterday afternoon, and it was pushed out once again. And I think the website link has been changed, especially with the wording on masks. Okay, masks are getting mandated in the state of Indiana, if you've not heard that, and the governor's going to sign that into an ordinance starting Monday. So please be aware of that, and that's going to impact what we do here at school. And we are going to require masks. You see the bullet down the page there. That's just going to be in compliance with our governor's office, and we're watching that closely. We've been watching all along, and it changes all the time. It's fluid, it's unprecedented, it's crazy, it's all those things. But we're watching it closely, and that roadmap is a good place to start for a general approach to school. It's the board-adopted policy that guides all the buildings in the district about how we're handling this crisis. So that's general information. Feel free to check that out. Adjustment specifically for GCHS. I have no lockers there. When we made that decision to go with no lockers, it was honestly before the mandate of the mask. So I'm going to take the governor's ordinance into consideration and give it some thought, but I want to be honest with you as parents and as freshmen, be prepared to not have lockers until you hear otherwise. Okay, I'm taking it under consideration. I need a little bit more time since the governor came out yesterday, but I may not change my mind on this, okay? I understand the concerns about carrying all these materials and a new student, but the concerns about social distancing and keeping everyone safe was a bigger concern. So I'm going to take it under consideration, but just be prepared that you're not going to have a locker. Now, athletics is a little bit different. PE lockers are different. I'm talking about lockers in our hallways. You're going to have a PE locker to change clothes in. That's going to be available in our locker rooms, and we're going to space you out for that. Okay? You're also athletics. If you're in a fall sport and you bring stuff in, we're going to accommodate those types of bags somehow, some way, probably in a coach's classroom or something. We'll secure those. But when I say no lockers, I'm talking about the royal blue lockers that you're going to see in our hallways. At this point, we're not assigning them, but I am cracking the door open a little bit. I want to think about the implications with now having masks in the building, because that decision originally was made when we did not have a mask requirement to keep social distancing. So it's complex. It's changing all the time. I'm trying to be very candid and honest with you since you're here in front of me in this moment. So we'll make a very tough decision and try to land in a spot that's in the best interest of kids and the whole well-being of the child, not just so you can put your biology book in the locker. We're taking more into consideration than just that. Okay, water. Enough about lockers. 4 lunches. We're spreading out lunches. We did have 3 lunches in the past, and they were in the middle of our 3rd block of the day. We've adjusted that. We're going to 4 lunches to cut that down. I actually made officially the lunch schedule yesterday, got that finished. So 4 lunch blocks in the 3rd block of the day. They all fall in that same block, and that is to cut down on the number of kids in each lunch, and it also allows me to spread out seating and give as much space as possible. We're going to spread out of the cafeteria and go into the lobby, and actually we'll monitor that. If we feel like they're still not spread enough or there's more concerns, we'll take advantage of all the space we can to give kids food and nutrition at lunch. Lunch is an important part of the school day, and we don't want to overlook that. So we're making that adjustment. Water supply, okay? Bring your own water bottle, okay? we will have a filling station. We have one in our cafeteria. I believe we're going to get another one in a strategic part of the building. I just don't want to promise that because I'm not quite sure that's here yet. We're going to try to have another one. And the water fountains, per suggestion from health officials, will not be available. Those water fountains will not be available. I'm also working on trying to provide a water bottle for kids too, but I'm not going to make any promises on that. So be prepared to bring your own water bottle, and that will be acceptable, all right? Masks are required. We've updated the roadmap. Skyward app. The reason why I emphasize the Skyward app, it kind of sticks out to me because it's not really relevant to the adjustments. But the Skyward app is going to be important in case the status of school changes. So if it's good in general in a traditional setting of school to help you stay informed, but if all of a sudden there's a huge outbreak and we're not physically in the building, the Skyward app is going to be crucial for you to stay connected to what we're doing at school. Grades, updates, just attendance, all those discipline, all those things that you need to be plugged into your child's education are right there housed in the Skyward app, okay? I want to say one last thing about lockers before I turn the page. The real concern about not having lockers, too, is kids carrying around book bags. It's always been viewed in schools that having book bags going around from class to class is a safety concern, and that is very legitimate. I'm balancing all these things and making a decision, but I want to stress one thing to everyone. With book bags, if we don't have lockers and kids are bringing book bags, if something doesn't look right, we have the right as school administrators to search that backpack. And when we make that stance with searching those backpacks, it's going to help create a safe environment. We're not going to target kids. We're not going to pick on kids. But if there's a lot of vapes, there's a lot of different things that are out there, we take the safety very seriously. So it's something we're managing and massaging, but I want you to know if a kid brings something in and we feel like something doesn't look right, we're going to have a conversation, and if the evidence leads that we need to look at that backpack, we're going to look in there, and we'll call a parent, we'll bring people in if we need to just to make sure we're on the up and up, but we're going to stress the safety. So a lot of factors to consider on these lockers and backpacks, but I wanted parents and families to know that. One-way travel. This is another adjustment that was made that we talked about prior to the mask mandate. Our hallways, we're going to make them one way to prevent people from crowding in the hallways and also passing by one another as they walk through. This map is probably not going to make a lot of sense to you since you're not familiar with the building. I'm going to try to walk over here. This is organized north is up, south is down, okay? So the 200 hall is this one that's running that way, straight perpendicular to your back or to this auditorium. That's the 200 hallway. It's kind of hard to see, but that direction, the traffic flow will only go that direction, right? And then the back hall that goes to the north, the 700 hallway, that is back going towards our vocational area, our CTE area back there. That is in the 700 hallway. And then the 400 hallway on the other side of the building comes back this way, and that'll take you to our cafeteria. And then the other hallways are built around that, having different directions. We have adjusted to a 5-minute passing period this year to cut down on the time in the hallways. We will be sensitive to kids having enough time to get to where they need to go. We're not going to be the tardy police, but we're going to have a realistic expectation of kids traveling to where they need to go. The mask mandate changes things some, but there's still a concern. Our kids need to be kept spaced whenever possible, and we need to keep them healthy. So we're going to take some logical steps to do that, and we're going to make tough decisions. And I just tell you, appreciate your support as we go through it. No answer in all this is perfect, but we're just going to do our best. So there'll be copies of this map available, and you'll get a chance to walk the building here in just a second. last but not least, I think with COVID that I'll say today, classroom precautions. Those desks have been in classrooms have been spread out as much as possible in those rooms. We've created as much space between those desks as we can. There's cleaning supplies in every classroom. Those areas are going to be cleaned regularly, and if something is of concern, we're going to clean it right away. We also moved additional custodians to our day shift from the evening shift to help accommodate those different items, so that way we can clean throughout the day. And we also have electrostatic cleaners that will clean surfaces and just stay out in front of this as best we can. So we're having a lot of a more robust approach to our cleaning process in response to this pandemic. You guys have anything else to add? Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Thank you. This is my last comment, I promise. We have added a nurse, an actual registered nurse here at the school. Last year, we were sharing one between the junior high, and we actually have a registered nurse here in our building that's going to be here every day. She's going to leave a little bit before the end of the school day, but she's going to be here to monitor the health of our students. We're working through the clinic procedure. Those procedures will be a lot different. We're obviously going to take steps when we feel like someone's symptomatic. We're going to get them removed from the general population as fast as possible, and then work with local health officials about how that child's attendance is impacted and how we handle that situation if they've been exposed to multiple people. So that will be done with local health officials as we work through that on a case-by-case basis. But that nurse is in our clinic. I'm happy to announce that because I'm making all these decisions on school, and I am not a health expert. I'm just a school administrator. So try to do the best we can, but we have a very qualified health person with us that'll help us along the way and help keep your child safe. So I'm going to stop there. What I am going to do now is I'm going to release you to the building. In the past, we had tours that were guiding you, but in the sake of social distancing, you're going to be able to walk the buildings. The classrooms are going to be locked. You're not going to be able to walk in classrooms, but you are going to be able to, if you want to take a picture of that map, you can with your phone, and you can get a glimpse of. Okay, yeah, there's maps posted around the school. There's also directional arrows, okay, that are posted they're ready for the first day of school. I'm going to let you go through the building and get a sense, and then if you'd like to have any kind of conversation or discussion with me, you can see me.